As you've been through all these evolutions, and especially as you're entering into and inhabiting your current evolution, how do you build cultures where you and the people on your team and the people at the companies that you're working with, your clients, feel safe and empowered to bring their unique talents into everything that you do and they do?
Sometimes you have to start with the baby steps. I'm just thinking of a couple, I'm thinking of a couple of my clients who were not ready to make the transition out of their a friend of mine said Muggle jobs the other day. I loved that. They're not really quite ready to make the transition out of their Muggle jobs. So no worries. You can always explore what's possible after hours, or in the morning. Although one of my clients, she just cracked me up. She's like, because she used to get up at 6 a.m. because she had an East Coast company. And she's like, well, I guess I'll just get up at 4:30 in the morning. And I'm like, oh my God, you are not getting the point here. It is not about getting up earlier. It's about finding time in your natural day to make space for this creativity. But yeah, you can step into the energy a little bit at a time until you're ready to make the full leap. But what I will say is don't play it safe for too long either, because this same client, her company ended up going bankrupt, and she had set a by when date, but the company went bankrupt before she was able to leave. So she was kind of forced into the deep end really quickly. So make space for the creativity, make space for the fun, make space for the play, make space for what's possible in bite-sized pieces, but start adding to that meal, and to the point where your dream, we'll just call it your dream job, where that dream career, where that dream focus is now actually more important and stronger and takes more time than maybe the Muggle job does. And that's when you'll realize, okay, it's time to just leave.
So if we're not going to get up earlier or stay up later, and I don't know that anyone can clone ourselves yet, how do you... We can delegate.
We can delegate,
maybe that's
yeah.
One answer is,
Yeah.
How do we find time for moving all the things that we do now aside to start doing things that we might want to do? Delegation.
Well, what I'm going to tell you and tell the audience is you have the time. We're not making the most use of our time. So one of the things that I recommend people do is, like, literally everything you do from the moment you wake up in the morning, and it for a week, open up your notes or whatever, and make a note of what you're doing and how long it takes, and be honest with yourself. Because if you're not honest with yourself, I mean, no one is going to see this except for you, but literally do an audit of your time. And what you will find are pockets in there where you are just wasting time. And unfortunately, it's usually pockets of time where you are your most creative. So for me, I'm definitely more creative in the morning. What I found was in the mornings, I was just kind of lollygagging, la, 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 brush my teeth, la, 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 scroll through the news, la, 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 make my breakfast, la, 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 and what I realized, if I could be more intentional about getting up, brushing my teeth, putting the coffee on while I was washing my face, and if I could get more proficient with those activities, I suddenly had an extra 15 to 20 minutes in the morning. So you will find time, or you can actually create time in your day. And then never mind all the Netflix, just sitting around listening to the news, the time we waste. The other thing is, I still love listening to fiction books, but when I go on walks now, I listen to inspirational books or business books, or something that is more feeds my soul a little bit more than just listening to a fiction novel. So same amount of time walking the dog, but now I'm feeding myself rather than just wasting time. And the other thing is, and to please stay safe. But if you find yourself driving or on a commute and you have an idea, you could think about those ideas, and then you can, like, hands-free, of course, speak them into your phone so that you're capturing those ideas, or just put the recorder on or whatever, so that you can capture those times in those in-between moments. But you will find, if you do an audit of your day, you will find pockets of time that you just weren't even aware that you were wasting, and you can utilize those and use those in a more creative way. Also, you can delegate and make your husband cook more.
Let the dog do the dishes.
Oh no, but seriously, my dog does clean my dishes, and then I put them in the dishwasher.
That's exactly where I was heading. Yes.
But I saved 10 minutes not having to rinse and scrub.
Exactly. Don't need to pre-rinse when you have a dog. And it's not like we need to find...
Call us into the SPCA.
Know what foods are safe for dogs and don't let them have it when it's not.
Exactly.
And it's not like we need to find, especially starting out, hours or even an hour. 5 minutes a day is more than enough time to get started. And especially early on can be way more productive than longer blocks of time, because 5 minutes is enough to set an intention, set a question, and then let the universe, unconscious, all the places that your guidance comes from, go do some searches and come back with the answers.
I love that. Set an intention at night and see what comes up at first thing in the morning, right? Set an intention or ask a question at night and see if you get the solution by the morning time. That stuff's cool. I love that.
As we're learning how to build these cultures for ourselves, and how can we take this into doing this with our teams so that we help our people show up in their whole self and bring all of that genius to bear on all the gnarly problems we have?
Yeah, it's really about value. We say we value our teams, but generally we value the skill sets they have that we need for our businesses. We don't value the whole person. So it's a really good idea to get to know your team members better, because you might find out they work better in the morning than at night. And so maybe, have them do the activities that you need earlier and leave the evenings, or whatever it is. One of my team members, while she does a lot of things for me, she loves doing video editing, and so and the creativity of that piece, and so I try and create more opportunity for her to do that. And maybe, it ends up being that I use her to do video editing, not only for myself, but for my clients. And I find somebody else to do the work that she doesn't love doing. And maybe a different team member just loves the strategy of it all. Great. Like, find out really what your team thrives at and give them the space. And I'm all about a flex schedule. I know there's controversy. I know some people love it, some people hate it, but there's nothing that has to be done tomorrow. And if there is, I'll do it. But I love allowing my team to work in the time that serves them best. And I find it gets better results. And then also let your team grow. There's a scarcity mindset about, if if my team member grows out of their position, like that's going to cost me money. But there's just so much abundance, and there's just so many opportunities, and there's just so much great talent out there that let your team members grow. Help them to grow your they can help you grow your own business if you allow them to grow. You can find somebody else to replace the old job position that doesn't serve them and doesn't serve, them in your business anymore. So it's really a matter of allowing your team to grow